Section 12 of Ads and Sales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Ads and Sales, a study of advertising and selling from the standpoint of the New Principles of Scientific Management by Herbert Newton Casson. An Analysis of Current Advertising, Chapter 9, Part 4. The Eye Killer Advertisement. This is a favorite among advertisers who prefer to waste money rather than to get help from an advertising expert. It is distinguished by 1. An abundance of matter in very small type, 2. White type on a black surface, or 3. An obscuring of the lettering to secure a decorative effect. The makers of this sort of advertising forget that the first duty of an ad is to be seen. It must be noticed and understood, otherwise it is not an advertisement, but only a contribution to the magazine business. The type in an ad should be as large and as plain as possible. Fancy types are artistic mistakes. Not one person in a million is a type collector. An advertisement should be easy to read, and it should enable a reader to get at a glance the gist of its meaning. Some ads of the eye killer species look as if the advertiser had made a bet with the printer that a certain great volume of stuff could be jammed into a certain space. The National Boat and Engine Company, for instance, had a 2-page ad which was pyramided in the following way. First, there was a wash drawing which covered 4/5 of the space. 9 photos were thrown on this. A coupon filled up one corner. Then, on top of the whole aggregation, were 839 words of copy. All this in a space 8 by 11 inches. Plainly, what this company had in mind was not an ad, but a book. Oliver Typewriter Company, in an advertisement that eulogizes its print type as being restful to eyesight, crams 758 words and 2 illustrations into one regular-size page. 2 New York merchants, Tiffany's and Lord & Taylor, make a fad of a small and obscure type under the impression that in this way they obtain dividends of dignity. The Shredded Wheat Company has been showing an impressionistic composite photo of its factory in Niagara Falls. This effect might be secured by an advertising man who was also an artist, but it cannot be obtained by a printer and a photographer. Quite a few advertisers are partial to white lettering on a black surface, although many opticians will tell you that this makes hard reading for the eyes. The John Church Company frequently uses white type in the advertising of its Everett piano. So does the Shaw Stocking Company in its endeavors to sell Shawnette socks. And the Globe Wernicke Company in the marketing of bookcases. The J. Lyon Company had a white typeface ad of silver, which I could not read at a distance of 14 inches. Pearline, too, is actually expecting the public to read a series of half-page ads that are white typed on a light gray background. The guarantee advertisement. This species has become quite numerous in recent years, although it is not a new device. McCormick used the guarantee in advertising his first reapers 70 years ago. The department stores led the way in taking goods back that did not suit, and today a large number of merchants make a general offer in national magazines to send goods on approval and to guarantee that the goods will be satisfactory. This can be done with much less risk than you would naturally expect. The average man or woman is honest. Joseph Fells once told me that he had sent out more than 2 million cakes of soap, each with a slip inside the wrapper, offering the money back if the soap failed to do its work, and only 3 customers came back for the money. He investigated these 3 cases and found that one was a newly arrived immigrant who thought herself entitled to the soap as a present from the grocer. The second was a child who got the money back as a joke, and the third was a thief. The guarantee advertisement means that the merchant trusts both his goods and the public. It is the most daring of all ads, and one of the signs that business is on a higher plane, morally, than any other activity of man. No preacher offers the pew rent back to anyone who does not like the sermon. No university offers the fees back in case its instruction proves to be of no practical value. And no public official offers to resign in case he proves to be incompetent. But the J.R. Keim Company ventures to say, speaking to anybody in the United States, if any fault develops in any Shakamaxon fabric at any time, we will make it good. The Hole-Proof Hosiery Company says to everybody, here, buy a pair of our socks. Wear them 6 months. If there is a hole in them, bring them back and we will give you a new pair. The United Roofing and Manufacturing Company gives an insurance bond with every roll of its Congo roofing, obliging itself to give a new roll if there is less than 10 years' wear. The Ulster Moor Company captures customers by offering 30 nights free trial of its mattresses. The Real Shoe Company varies the method by giving a specifications tag with every pair of shoes, guaranteeing that the materials used are of a certain quality. Even ready-made clothes are now guaranteed to fit, satisfy, and please by the royal tailors. Even trunks, which are at the mercy of highly skilled baggage smashers, are sold with a certificate of guarantee by the never-break salesman. And one confident firm in Buffalo is actually offering its Barcalo beds with a guarantee of 35 years' service. The Hall of Fame advertisement. Here we find that the advertiser, too impatient to wait for the verdict of posterity, has given us a photo of himself. He does not exactly say, "My face is my fortune," but he does say, "Look at my face, and you will buy my goods." In spite of the fact that this species of advertisement is universally used by fake doctors and swindling promoters, there are several highly reputable advertisers who have made it their favorite method of publicity. In a few instances, the Hall of Fame ads is the best suited and most efficient. Those who claim to show a royal road to beauty or strength are naturally expected to appear before the public. A Woodbury or Sandow or Susanna Cockcroft are expected to come out in front of the footlights. Some very old and well-known corporations could use this form of advertising with good effect. Tiffany's, for instance, is proud of 3 generations in business. Why not show the photos of the 3 Tiffany's? This would be interesting and dignified. The Saturday Evening Post makes good use of the face of Benjamin Franklin at the head of its editorial page. The photos of Diston, McCormick, Howe, Ho, Oliver, Steinway, Chickering, and other pioneers of industry might well be shown by the corporations that represent these men today. It may perhaps be taken as a safe rule that the photo of a living man should not be shown except on some special occasions. Neither is there any apparent reason why the face of a bald-headed man should sell shoes, nor why a fat man's face should sell chewing gum, nor a fiercely mustached face should sell talcum powder. If the same amount of money had been spent on appropriate trademarks, the sales would have been larger. The straight talk advertisement. This is the species in which the advertiser speaks to the public in the first person singular. He says, I want you to know about my goods and how I make them. He tells the inside facts about his business and his methods. He does not merely brag. He talks reasonably. He plainly aims at giving you a fair idea of a fair business. This type of advertising, at its best, is very efficient and convinces. It does more than make a good impression. It is so direct, so personal, so urgent that it is apt to create immediate business. It is an especially fine method of advertising for retailers to use in local publications, as the famous Tom does in Chicago. But experience has shown that it will bring results in national magazines. The public loves to be talked to directly and confidentially. The greatest danger that befalls the straight talk ad is boastfulness. How to recommend your own goods without bragging? That is the problem. It is better to understate than to overstate. It is better to say, only 3 breakages last year, than to say, not 1 breakage last year. The Chalmers Detroit Motor Company tells the public that it made 9% last year, and that the average cost of repairs per car for the year was $2.44. The Spencer Heater Company frankly says, our heater probably costs more than any other heater, but the Enoch Morgan Sons Company shows the public the instructions it gives to its salesman of Sapolio. Jones, the sausage man of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, prints a photo of his farm and tells you the names of several of his famous customers. Macbeth admits that he makes poor lamp glasses sometimes, but says that he does not put his name on them. All these are instances of the straight talk ad in its proper use. The exhibit advertisement. This is an advertisement built around a picture, and the picture is in itself an evidence of the value of the goods. It is a very efficient type of advertising. It is attractive. Often there is a story in that picture. It is convincing. You can see the proofs right before your eyes, and a single insertion will often bring many profitable results. It is an exhibit ad, for instance, when the Reed and Barton Company shows the Roosevelt Cup, which was the American trophy at Jamestown yacht races, or when the Locomotive Company shows the trophy that one of its cars won at Philadelphia, or when the O'Sullivan Company shows an amateur advertisement of rubber heels that won the first prize in a contest. The Ansco Company, to advertise its films, shows a sample picture taken by an Ansco film on a rainy day. The Barrett Manufacturing Company, to advertise its Tarvia road covering, shows a series of pictures of tarviated roads in different states. The Standard Paint Company, to advertise its rubberoid, shows a rubberoid-roofed building which stood uninjured while other buildings on 3 sides of it were burned. The Southern Cypress dealers show many pictures to prove that cypress is the best all-round wood on the market. The White Company, to advertise their motor trucks, shows a long line of them standing outside some well-known store, and so forth. All these are fair examples of the exhibit ad at its best. The Big Idea advertisement. This is a high-grade brand of advertising for high-grade people only. It consists mainly of a very comprehensive idea, such as would naturally occur to a man of deep thought when he considered the goods that are being offered for sale. Such an ad gives prestige. It does not make any immediate business, but it dignifies the article that is being advertised. It is not especially effective in the light, frivolous sort of magazines. In the main, it is for men and women over 40 years of age. The best instance of this type may be seen in the advertisements of the American Telephone and Telegraph Company. This remarkable series has held up one after another the big ideas that are suggested by a national telephone system. It has put the whole matter of telephony upon a higher level in the minds of the mature men of the nation. In one of these ads, for instance, the headline is "The Orbit of Universal Service," and it is shown that the total distance traveled by Bell telephone messages is greater, 40 times greater, than the distance traveled by the Earth in its yearly belt line around the sun. Other typical headlines in this series are "In Touch with His World," "Finder of Men," "Civilization from Signal Fire to Telephone." The Remington Typewriter Company uses the big idea advertisement when it pictured its typewriters as woven into the fabric of trade. And the Smith Premier Company also used it under the headline, "The World Gets What It Asks For," showing that the demand for greater speed has produced the Olympic, the 20th Century Limited, the telephone, and the Smith Premier typewriter. These 25 varieties will account for almost all the advertisements in the national magazines. They are not intended to include the advertising in streetcars or on billboards, the latter of a different nature and require a separate investigation. These various styles of advertising may be condensed into three main classes. 1. Advertisements written from the standpoint of the advertiser. 2. Advertisements written from the standpoint of the goods. And 3. Advertisements written from the standpoint of the public. Those of the first class are the least efficient, and those of the third are the most efficient. The first says to the public, "Buy your gloves from me." The second says, "These gloves are the best." And the third says, "Cut down your glove bill." The ideal advertisement, if I may use one last illustration, is like a harpoon. It has a sharp point. It is thrown at the right instant. It is aimed at the right place. It hits. It sticks. It pulls. It lands the thing it was aimed at. At the least cost and with the least effort, it does the work. That is efficiency. End of section 10, an analysis of current advertising, part 4.